All right, so today we are going to explore west of Broad Street, pretty much from Girard Estates area where I'm at right now, which is where I live, all the way up to pretty much Fairmount Spring Garden area. I'm gonna go check on one of my listings up there. So on this drive, I'm gonna just tour you through the west side of Broad Street, basically from Broad Street to the Schuylkill River, and show you some of the hot spots and the highlights of the city here. So right now we're in Girard Estates. This is the neighborhood I live in, as I mentioned. So pretty quiet neighborhood, very, very residential, not a whole lot of commercial down here. You will see that there are kind of like corner stores and little mom and pop, boutiques and things like that on the corners. But as far as commercial, the only things you really have here are Oregon Ave and then West Passyunk. The great thing about Oregon is that down near like I think it's like 22nd, 23rd in Oregon, you are going to have a ton of very accessible grocery stores and a lot of bigger box stores. So you have like Home Depot, you have PetSmart, there's a Planet Fitness, there's an Aldi, a ShopRite, a Sprouts. We pretty much have every major grocery store over here at this point. Within, I would say, a 10 to 15 minute walk at most, if not less, depending on where you live in the neighborhood. And it's a 2 to 3 minute drive to get there. So I'm gonna turn here on Shunk Street, and we're gonna drive over towards Girard Estates Park, which is the park that is the main green space in the neighborhood down here. And Girard Estates is not a neighborhood that gets a whole lot of hype as far as like, Fishtown and East Passyunk. Those are really hot neighborhoods for buyers, but I think it's a hidden gem down here. It's pretty green. There's a lot of trees, as you're gonna see coming up on the next block here. And there are a lot of really unique historical homes down here. These Girard Estates properties that you'll see, especially the ones that are across from the park, are really beautiful properties, and it just adds to the aesthetic of the neighborhood. So I do enjoy living down here. It is a little bit further removed from Center City, and it's not, in my opinion, the most walkable neighborhood, but you can get to Broad Street in a 10 to 15 minute walk, and then take the subway from there pretty much anywhere that you want to go. So it's not too bad. It's just it's not like smack in the middle of things. So you can see these blocks are really nice and tree lined, and you can see the homes are these twins. So they're not your typical high density row homes. These are twins that some of them have backyards, some of them have parking, and we're about to roll up here to the park, which you'll see, and we're pretty much doing the loop that I do like every day with my dog, and I bring him over here to the park and we walk through, and it's nice. It's a nice little area, and you can see on the right the homes overlooking the park. Those are the historical kind of Girard Estate style homes. So as we get up here, we're gonna hit Passyunk, and we're on West Passyunk. So in the other video that I did, which was east of Broad Street, I actually started down here. So there's a little bit of overlap, but as I mentioned in that video, you know, West Passyunk is a little bit less developed than East Passyunk for sure. But, you know, you have Nipotina here, which is a great lunch spot that just opened up. And up this way, there's also a little brewery that I mentioned in the other video, which is Brewery ARS, which is a good spot. They do like food carts that roll up and stuff like that, which is cool. But this area could definitely use some more established businesses and, you know, bars and restaurants, in my opinion. And this neighborhood for the townhomes is pretty affordable still. So you can get like a really, really decent home in this area for $350,000 to $400,000. The Girard Estates homes, those historical homes, that's a little bit of a different story. Those are obviously more expensive because they're, you know, semi-detached and you're getting a yard, and in some cases you're getting parking. So those are more expensive homes, but there are plenty of homes in that neighborhood that are in the like 3 to 500 range. 500 would be pretty much on the high end for a townhome. So I'm going to take you up here, up 16th Street, and we're going to pretty much enter as soon as we cross over Passyunk here onto 16th Street. We're going to be in the Newbold area. And Newbold is a neighborhood that is pretty much, it's hugging Broad Street on the west side of Broad Street. And it pretty much goes to about, I would say, 18th Street, and then it's more defined as Point Breeze once you get past 18th Street. But Newbold is another neighborhood in South Philly that I would say is one of the more affordable neighborhoods, but you can find nice renovated houses. There has been a decent amount of development here, and the nice thing about Newbold is it does have like its own restaurants, coffee shops, and stores sprinkled in, but you can also walk over to East Passyunk in, you know, I would say 10 minutes or less, and you know, you don't have to pay the same sticker price as you would in Passyunk. You can get a little bit more value in this neighborhood than you can if you're in proper East Passyunk. So a lot of people who want to buy a house in the, you know, lower price point, if you want to be in the $300,000 price point, you know, $400,000 price point, you can come over here and get a pretty decent 2-story starter home. And the cool thing about west of Broad Street is all of the really big buildings in Center City are pretty much built west of Broad Street. And so really the majority of the prominent buildings in the skyline are on this side. So as you're driving up 16th and 17th Street and 18th Street, you get really good views of the buildings, which is cool. So you can see, you know, this area is very, very residential. Not a whole lot going on as far as like, you know, nightlife or anything like that, but there are little stores sprinkled in. And again, the closest thing you're gonna have as far as like a really dense commercial strip is East Passyunk. And Broad Street, obviously. Broad Street has a good amount of stores and restaurants and bars and stuff. So we're gonna get up here pretty soon to Washington Ave, and I'm gonna take a left going west on Washington, and that's gonna be to show you some of the development that's happening over there. But first I'll loop around here onto Broad Street just so that you can see Broad and Washington and get your bearings. So I'm turning right now onto Ellsworth. So now we're at Broad Street here. So this here is Broad and Washington. You're gonna get a shot straight ahead of City Hall, some of the bigger buildings, and these buildings here are newer, large, high density, mid-rise buildings. You have Target here, Chase, you have your liquor store, you have a PetSmart. So this area has really started the development on Washington Ave. And then we're gonna go west. So Washington was always really a industrial strip, and it's still zoned industrial. So all of the developments that have happened here are pretty much developments that had to be approved through a variance process, because none of this is actually zoned for residential. And you'll see driving through this area, there isn't a lot of residential. This is still a very industrial part of Washington Avenue. But as we get to 18th Street, you're gonna see on the right side, there are a handful of mid-rise apartment buildings that have commercial frontage on the first floor, which is great. And it's really good for this specific strip in the city to have that. This is Chick's on the right, which is a really good restaurant and bar. Okay. And so, yeah, still really industrial here. A lot of like home and building supply companies. And then we're getting to 20th Street here, and you're gonna see coming up on 21st on your right, this is one of the first really larger apartment buildings with commercial, and There's an Aldi that's going in on the first floor, which is going to be great for this area. And then this is where the development here kind of really starts for Washington Ave. And this is all, south of here is Point Breeze, and then north of here is Graduate Hospital. So both of those neighborhoods are really benefiting from this. You have Porco's on your left, which is popular. There's a bunch of people outside, and a beer distributor. And then they opened up a little corner store here with like smoothies, and it's a deli and has produce and whatnot. And then you get back into pretty much the industrial stuff. One more larger building here. So I'm taking a right here on 25th. And so now we're entering more of the Graduate Hospital area. Some people call this part of Grad Hospital like Devil's Pocket. And we're gonna tour around this area a little bit and then head up to Fitler Square. So straight ahead, if you went straight on Gray's Ferry, you would have Naval Square, which is like a huge development in this neighborhood with a lot of condos. It used to be, I believe, a hospital, and now we're on Christian Street. So Christian is a pretty prominent street in the southern part of Graduate Hospital. And there's a lot of apartment buildings, so we're getting into more center city. Once you get to Graduate Hospital and north of Washington, I personally consider that being now, you're not really in South Philly or anything anymore. You're pretty much in center city, and so the density is higher. So you will have a good amount of single-family townhomes here, but you're also going to have a lot of buildings that are multi-units, 2, 3, 4 unit apartment buildings, especially on Christian Street, which has multi-unit zoning on a lot of these properties. So and I'm going to take Christian to 18th Street, and then I'm going to start going north again. And we're going to see the Marian Anderson Center, which is like a park that is kind of right smack in the middle of Graduate Hospital. And then from there, we'll head up further north and check out Fitler Square, and then Rittenhouse. We have a lot to check out today. So here are the homes that are facing the park. So you have some basketball courts, you have a baseball diamond, you have a pool. And you can see straight ahead is the newer Comcast Center, which is the tallest building here in the city. So Graduate Hospital is very, very popular just because of its vicinity to Rittenhouse. You know, this is a neighborhood where you're pretty much your entry point for the lowest price point home that you can get is probably around $400,000 to $500,000. That's a really, really small home, but you're probably going to get into the $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 range pretty easily, depending on what you're looking for here. Up to $1 million plus. Townhomes that are newer construction with parking, easily you're going to hit $1 million plus. We just crossed over South Street. And so I'm going to take you west on Lombard, and we're going to go more towards the Fitler Square area before coming back here towards Rittenhouse. Yeah, so Graduate Hospital has really benefited from the vicinity to Rittenhouse, which is very attractive. People like to be able to live in that neighborhood where it is still very residential, a little bit quieter. It's not like crazy active. There's not a crazy nightlife scene, but you do have South Street, which has a lot of restaurants and bars and stuff, and you can walk right into the city. And so a lot of people like that. And also Graduate Hospital is convenient for people who are working at the hospitals in West Philly. You're right over the Schuylkill River, and you can get right over to West Philly very easily. So it's a quick walk or bike ride or drive over there. And same thing with Fitler Square, which is definitely one of my favorite areas in the city. You're right off the Schuylkill River. You do have really easy access to the Schuylkill River Trail. You have a great park right on the Schuylkill. So we're coming up on a pretty great area over here. And the homes over here do get really expensive. Now you can pretty easily be in the $1 million plus range, and it gets expensive over here, but it's for good reason. Rivalry Bros Coffee's right there. A lot of people are getting their coffee on Sunday morning. So I'm going to head up this way on 25th Street. You can see how green it is over here. There's like trees everywhere. And you can see I'm coming up here on the park. Schuylkill River Park here. take a turn here. So you have basketball courts, you have dog parks. You're connected right to the Schuylkill River Trail. You have tennis courts right here. A lot of people are playing tennis this morning. And you have $2 to $3 million properties overlooking this park. So it is not cheap over here, but again, there's a reason it's not cheap. It's because people love living over here. You're like in Center City, but it's like this very quiet and lush neighborhood, but still very active at the same time. So they're having some sort of little festival over here, it looks like, or some little farmer's market, which is nice. Yep. You have one Riverside that we just passed by, which is a luxury condo building. And then now you're getting into really the mid-rise and high-rise buildings in Center City. So now we're on 24th and Locust, and we just passed Ambrosia. There's going to be a lot more restaurants and things in this area, and then especially as we get into the Rittenhouse area. So Locust is going to drive you directly into Rittenhouse Square here as we hit past 20th Street. And you can see right ahead, this is Rittenhouse Square. And so I'm going to drive you fully around here so you can get an idea. But this is really the prime central location of Center City. This is where everyone really wants to be. This is where the most expensive shops, restaurants, bars, everything in the city really is. And this is really where all the development spurs from in Philadelphia, was surrounding Rittenhouse, and all of the luxury condo buildings and luxury apartment buildings in this area. So straight ahead, that building on the bottom floor, you have Barclay Prime, which is one of the best steakhouses in the city. You're gonna have Park Rittenhouse, which is like a French style cafe and bar. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are eating right outside facing the park right now. You'll see that on your right. Everyone eating and facing the park on Sunday morning. So now we're really here in Center City, Walnut Street. You're going to be coming up on Sansom Street, which is really dense with bars and restaurants. This whole area is pretty much all commercial on the first floor with residential above or office space above. So this is really your Center City district. You're also going to have a lot of your hotels here. A lot of hotels. You do have some like rooftop bars and stuff. Like this Continental has a rooftop bar here on the left. And then going up even further here, we're gonna hit Market Street. And this side of Market Street, west of Broad, is really like dense with office buildings. So you have some of your largest office buildings right on Market Street. So now we're entering closer into Logan Square here. And so I'm gonna try and take you towards the art museum from Logan Square here. So we're gonna turn here onto the Parkway. And this is Logan Square, which is really actually a circle. But they're gonna try and turn it back into a square. But there is a fountain in the middle, really beautiful. And then this is where you're gonna now start to see a lot of the city's libraries and museums. And this is an area that is very attractive for people who are coming into the city, for tourists to come and see what Philadelphia has to offer. And some of these buildings are really, really beautiful. It's a red light. So we're going to shoot right down the Parkway here, and you're going to see straight ahead we are going to be heading straight towards the art museum. The Rocky steps. Got Rocky Balboa ran up those steps. Philly is like the only city that really prides itself like on a fictional boxer, but I love those movies, so I can't argue with it. So you have the art museum on your left here, and this is all really connected into then the Fairmount Park, which is really running like behind the art museum. So there's usually people over here trying to take pictures with the Rocky statue or running up the steps. And so those buildings straight ahead are all West Philadelphia, and those are on the other side of the Schuylkill River. So this area you can pop over right to West Philly, and then those buildings, you're getting a really nice shot of the Philly skyline in Center City now as we circle around here. So we're back on the Parkway now, heading the opposite direction back towards City Hall and Center City. I just wanted to see both views of the Parkway, heading back now towards Logan Square. It's really cool to see the city from this angle too. So I'm going to loop back around Logan Square, and then we're going to head up into the Spring Garden area and then up towards Fairmount as well. So I'm turning here on 20th Street now, and this is going to really kick us into closer into the Spring Garden area. You have a Target here on your left, liquor store, you have some restaurants and bars. So this here is Spring Garden, which is a major artery in Philadelphia as far as like one of the bigger streets running west to east and east to west. So I'm going to take you up here, and I'll take you down Green Street because that's a really, really pretty block. And we have actually one of the only large new construction buildings, this one here on the right that we're coming up on. We were selling. It's like a condo building right there. This area is very historical, so it had to conform with the historical designations and go through the historical commission. But you can see Green Street is very green. A lot of trees. There are a lot of these like older looking traditional brownstones in this neighborhood. And there's a lot of single family and then a lot of apartments as well. This area, to me, has a similar aesthetic to some of the residential blocks in Rittenhouse as well. So I'm going to come up 18th Street here. So this is a huge community garden on the left. So this neighborhood's really popular. People love living around here. It's really nice. And you're really, really walkable to Spring Garden, and then really more so Fairmount, which is more of the restaurants, bars scene. And I'm about to turn left on Fairmount here. So Fairmount, I would compare to, East Passyunk and Frankfurt Ave. I would say it's a little bit less happening as far as like restaurants and bars, but there's still a lot of options here, and it's still a really nice commercial strip in the city, especially as you go a little bit further down and we get towards the Eastern State Penitentiary area, which is a tourist attraction in the area. It's huge old historical penitentiary. Al Capone actually was in the penitentiary here for a while, and you could see on your right, this is the penitentiary, and then you have on the left side a lot of bars and restaurants that are popular in this area. And usually during Halloween, they will have this penitentiary be like a haunted house, which is kind of fun. And so you have like Urban Saloon here on your left. You have a City Fitness, which is great. You have Jack's Firehouse. And they'll actually do a farmer's market over here as well. Forget what day of the week it is, but it's usually consistently they have a farmer's market right around this penitentiary area. And so Fairmount is still really, you're still in the vicinity of that whole art museum and Parkway that we saw earlier. And that's really, you know, a big draw for this neighborhood, is like being close to the art museum, being close to Fairmount Park, which is really, it's nice because it's one of the most prominent areas in the city. I will say, living up here, you are a little bit in your own kind of bubble, because, like, you know, we're on 24th Street. You're basically, you have to walk 10 very, very long blocks all the way to Broad Street to get to the Broad Street line. You could take buses and whatnot, but, you know, you're not super connected into like the public transportation as much. But I'm coming all the way down Fairmount here, and you're gonna see that we are pretty much right back to, you might not be able to see it, but on the left is the art museum. And we're just a little bit further past it and kind of behind it now, going towards Fairmount Park and Boathouse Row. So I am going to end this tour just showing you Kelly Drive a little bit, and we're going to pretty much stop there right around Boathouse Row, because then as you follow Kelly Drive north, you get to East Falls and you get to Manayunk and Roxborough, and that is kind of a whole different area in itself. So Philly is very large, but it doesn't feel so large because the Center City area is pretty, like the Center City and surrounding neighborhoods, it's pretty easy to get from place to place. But then once you get up to Manayunk and Roxborough, that's like kind of a whole different story. Like it could take 30, 40 minutes to get back and forth from those depending on traffic. But Kelly Drive is like a beautiful road, and you're gonna have Boathouse Row on the left, which is all of the college crew houses where they store the crew boats, but they really light these houses up with lights during, you know, the winter and holiday season and Christmas time, and it's really nice. So you have all the boat houses there to your left that you'll see, and then Kelly Drive just continues and hugs the Schuylkill River. So this is all connected down into that Schuylkill River Park that we saw earlier in Fitler Square. So that's why, like, the west side of the city is really cool, because it is all really cohesive and it is all connected by the Schuylkill River and the Schuylkill River Trail. And it's nice because they're continuing to build the Schuylkill River Trail further south and just further connect the entire west side of Center City, Philadelphia. So That is my spiel and my tour of the west of Broad side of Philadelphia. If you thought this was helpful, definitely hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.